everyone. I'm Tanaaz from foreverconscious.com, and this is your weekly energy forecast for the week of August 13th. On August 16th, we have the Leo new moon, and all new moons represent the start of a new cycle. But there is something special with this new moon. It really holds energy that is reminding us, kind of supporting us with this idea that it's never too late to begin again, that we can look at things from a fresh perspective, that we can wipe the slate clean and have a do-over, that we can change the way we are choosing to look at things. That is the power held in this new moon. And the other layer that it offers is the layer of simplicity, keeping it simple. So we're wiping the slate clean, we're looking at things in a new light, we are giving ourselves a do-over on all the areas that maybe feel a little sticky or challenging, and our approach or our mantra in how we approach these things is simplicity. How can I keep things simple? How can I look at things through the simplest lens? How can I treat this or move through this problem or situation with simplicity as my goal, as my intention, as this with the steps that I will take? That is what this new moon is offering us. It's offering us a do-over, a fresh start, a wipe the slate clean if you need it, and then it's saying use simplicity to guide you for the next step. And there is a lot of power in that when we can embrace that energy, and this new moon will really be helping us. There is a lot of volatile energy that also comes along with this new moon, and this volatility is really activating all of those Venus retrograde lessons. And that is because Venus is retrograde in Leo, and the new moon and Venus are very, very close together. So their energy kind of merges, and we're getting an activation of Venus retrograde energy. So if you have been tracking the Venus retrograde in your own life, you're likely to notice a lot of stuff coming up to the surface. Maybe even a turning point. Last week, or on the 16th, we had the Sun aligning with Venus, which represented the rebirth of Venus, and now we're getting this new moon with Venus very active. So there's a turning point here with the Venus retrograde energies. There's an enhancement, there's a kind of climax point, if you will, of all of this Venus retrograde energy. So if you've been tracking the Venus retrograde in your own life, you're going to maybe notice that. If you're like, I have no idea what Venus retrograde is, or how do I even look, what's this going to look like? Venus retrograde really triggers our relationships. That's kind of its first level. And so this doesn't just have to be romantic relationships. It can be relationships with your mother, your father, an employee, an employer. It can be with a co-worker. It can be with a friend. Venus retrograde gets us rethinking our relationships. It also gets us rethinking our relationship to money, and especially when Venus is involved, usually it's something to do with profits. We maybe realize that something is not as profitable as we thought it was going to be. We may realize that something we thought that might be lucrative is actually not that lucrative. That's usually when money is concerned with Venus. It's usually to do with profits and sort of the return that we're getting from the energy that we've put out. The other thing that Venus retrograde can trigger or bring to the surface is our values. And it can bring up maybe a need to change some of the values that we have been leading our lives with. Things that once were really important may not feel that important anymore. So those values may also come up to the surface. Venus can also tap into beauty and our feelings around self-worth and our appearance, and then also reproductive health. That's another thing that Venus retrograde can trigger. So these are kind of the main areas that Venus retrograde can bring up, can highlight, can get us to look over. So relationships, friendships, stuff with money, stuff with profits, our values, reproductive health, all of that is kind of in the basket with Venus retrograde. So all of that could be triggered under this new moon, or different areas of that could be triggered under this new moon. You may feel a little bit of all of it, or a couple of those Venus retrograde themes coming up under this new moon. It is a big one, but come back to that idea that we can wipe the slate clean, that you can begin again, and that you can use simplicity as a guide, as a way to bring more joy into your life. It doesn't have to be complicated. How can you keep it simple? And through that simplicity, how can it lead you to joy, to a greater joy? Something to think about as you move through this week and as you navigate any of the things that this new moon might bring up for you. So that's the core energy for the week. We're going to be feeling that new moon energy all through the week. As I mentioned, Venus is very close to this new moon. Plus, on the 13th, Venus aligned with the sun, and that brought about the rebirth of Venus. So again, big, strong kind of Venus themes this week as we navigate this retrograde, which is almost at its end point. We still have a little bit to go, a few more weeks to go. It comes to an end on September 3rd, 4th. So we're kind of in the heart of it at the moment, but we're working through that. And as I've said before, the goal, the end goal with a Venus retrograde, whatever it's bringing up for you, is a more open and expanded heart and the ability to receive a greater love. At its core level, Venus retrograde is helping us to shed and release blocks that stop us from feeling love, from realizing that we are the love, and from receiving and giving love. So that's what we're working on. That's what this new moon is guiding us to navigate. I hope you found that helpful. You can find more at foreverconscious.com. I'm Tanaaz. Thank you all so much.